Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am Rosa B. Today, we are going to be talking about job search. That's right. Have you ever felt overwhelmed, anxious, or it just feels really daunting having to do that big job search? Well, today we're going to help you tackle that. So, I want to introduce my co host, Tammy Harmon. Welcome, Tammy.
Hello, it's nice to be here. Got a lot to talk about today.
Yes, we do. Tammy is a specialist career coach. And we're both going to step you through how to build a winning job search strategy, how to reduce that overwhelm and that anxiety. But before we get stuck into the session, I would also like to welcome Judith and Karen, who are doing our BSL and captions today. Ladies, welcome and thank you very much for joining us. Just wanted to do a quick test that everything's okay with the captions, etc. Yeah, fantastic. So this session is 40 minutes along with a 10-minute Q&A. But guess what? We want you to be as interactive with us today and share those job search stories, right, Tammy?
Yes.
So go on the chat and add any comments. Share with us what job sites you're using or what sorts of experiences that you've had. It's really, really important that you share that feedback with us. Now, we also will have a survey at the very, very end of the session, and we do want your feedback. It's important to us to know if we're hitting the mark, if you found the session was valuable. So please don't forget to fill in that survey at the very end. Now, we also will have that Q&A session at the very end. But as I've mentioned, if you want to use the chat box, feel free to do so. We like to make our sessions as accommodating as possible. So if you have any accommodation needs, please do let us know, even if it's throughout the session, and we will do our best to try and accommodate and help you all. So with that, Toby, let's go to the next slide. So what exactly are we covering today? It's going to be three key things, but three very valuable things. So we're going to start off with helping you understand the importance of knowing your value and your values. So this is the kind of stuff that we do right before the job search. So we will spend a little bit of time talking to your value, but mostly on what your core values are and why it's important in your job search. We're also going to help you how to identify disability-friendly employers and where to search for the right opportunities. Have you ever spent lots and lots of time wading through multiple different job sites, applying for a whole raft of jobs, only to get burnt out and overwhelmed? Well, we're going to help to try and save you energy, time, and overwhelm by giving you some very, very simple strategies. So let's go to the next slide.
So we're going to start out with a poll. We're going to ask you a bit about what difficulties you face when you're doing job searching. So the question is, what do you find most challenging about looking for job opportunities? And the potential answers are: 1, finding disability-friendly employers; 2, how to find employers with values like mine; 3, finding vacancies that match my skills and experience; 4, convincing myself that somebody will employ me; 5, working out how to write CVs and cover letters; 6, sticking with the job search because it's overwhelming; or 7, all of these things. And if for any reason you can't interact with the poll, please do put your answer in the chat box using one of the numbers as read out. So we'll give you a minute or two to think about what the right answer for you is.
Okay, so Tommy, I'm going to ask you. You've been on that job search journey too. We all have, right?
Mm-hmm.
What have you found the most challenging when searching for job opportunities?
I think one of the things I've struggled with is actually not that there aren't any jobs out there, but that there are so many jobs that finding the right one for you is quite difficult. So now a lot of companies recruit online. They might also use recruiters. We'll talk a bit about recruiters later. They'll advertise on their own websites. They'll advertise on places like Indeed. But there's, hundreds of thousands of vacancies a week, and you've got X skills or X interests, and actually trying to narrow that down so that you're applying for the most relevant roles and the roles that fit you the best. Actually, I found that quite difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a very competitive job market out there. And there are so many different job sites, right? And job boards now, it's like, which one do you choose? For me, it was, things like I would like the salary exposed on the job ad. It'd be very frustrating because you don't know if it's at the right level, whether you're wasting your time. So having that salary range is really, really important. But also I know that when speaking to some of our candidates that we coach, they want to find an employer that's disability friendly, right?
They do.
One of the questions that I ask in the sessions is, what is it that's important to you when looking for an employer, right? Because you've got to get selfish. It's just as much as about you wanting to find the right fit. And an understanding employer is the thing that keeps coming back. So it'd be very interesting to find out what the results are of this poll.
On that note, Toby, would you share those with us, please? Okay, so we haven't got too many responses, but we'll go with what we've got. So thankfully, nobody said they had trouble finding disability-friendly employers. We are going to do a refresher on that anyway. So if anyone's not sure about how best to do that, we'll go over it in some detail. How to find employers with values like mine. Nobody said that that's an issue, but sometimes I think people don't understand how best to identify their own values and therefore use them in a job search. So we'll cover that a little bit as well. 25% of you said that finding vacancies that match your skills and experience is difficult. 25% again said convincing myself that somebody will employ me is a challenge. And hopefully what we'll do as we go through this is those questions on skills and experience and whether or not someone will ever employ me. Knowing your value, because you have a value, we all do. Knowing what your values are, so the things that are important to you, and knowing what you have to offer is all part of you. That's your unique selling point. So being able to identify those things and then apply them to the job search is vital. And if you need help doing that, then that's what the coaches are for. So we do have appointments. You're welcome to refer yourself into our service via the Career Hive, and we will talk about that at the end of the session as well. So nobody's explicitly said that they have trouble working out how to write CVs and cover letters. That's good. We don't cover that in this session, but we certainly could cover it with you if you need a coach. But we also have webinar recordings. And I note that Halima has asked if this webinar recording will be available to watch later, and the answer to that is yes. So we have lots of recordings of webinars and lots of articles on the Hive that will help you with CVs and cover letters. But if you still struggle when you've used those, come back to us. None of you have said sticking with a job search because it's overwhelming is a problem, but we will talk about whether or not you're using strategies to support you in that, because actually what 50% of you have said is that all of these things are a problem. So you're struggling on multiple fronts. So hopefully you'll feel a bit more comfortable about some of that at the end of the webinar. And we are around to help afterwards if you're still struggling. Thank you very much, Toby. Next slide, please.
Okay, why values are important for your job search. First of all, I want to start off with, do you know what your core values are? Get on the chat box and start sharing your core values with us. So core values are things that you believe are important to the way in which you live and work. So if we think about that, it's really important that you understand what your core values are when searching and seeking for that job, right? So your work values can help you find the right job. If you think about it, why did you choose the job that you've chosen or the future job that you're expecting? What is it that aligns you to that job? So being conscious of your core values can give you a job that you're satisfied with, job satisfaction. It can actually bring joy to your life if you are doing the job that you love, that's aligned to your strengths and your skills, and that's meaningful and purposeful for you. On the flip side, right, Tammy, avoiding a job that makes you miserable. Because if you know what your values are, you're more than likely not to make a poor choice in terms of that job, right?
There's a better chance that you'll make a more well-rounded decision.
Absolutely. So people are happier when their value system or their value systems are aligned with their job and career choice. So when we're all working towards the same goals, the work we do is more effective. It feels more meaning and more purposeful. We feel more connected as an organization. Have you ever felt that connection when you're in an organization, everyone's working and thriving together? Or have you ever felt really misaligned? I want you to get on the chat box and share with us, what are your values? What are your top 3 core values? What's important for you when you're looking for that work? Toby, I want you to also share some really important links. There's some tools that can help you name and identify your values if you're not too sure how to go about it. And as Tammy mentioned, please reach out to us because we're happy to do a one-to-one tailored session where we can help you identify what those values are. So we're all working towards the same goals and we all have the same values, then, as we mentioned earlier, we're much more happier in our work. So, Toby, if you just share those links, that would be great. But when we talk about values, there's 3 types of values. There's intrinsic values. So those may be things such as helping others, doing work that feels more meaningful and purposeful, like giving back to others. It might be taking risks in your work. It might be that you want challenge and variety in your work. It's really critical to you. So those are examples of intrinsic values. But then we also have extrinsic values, such as the paycheck. So for some people, they know exactly what sort of pay or salary that they want. For others, it may also be, that bonus, etc. So it's really, really important to really focus on and work out what your values are. Traveling to work, flexible working. Maybe you have a disability or a condition that means that you need to consider flexible working, your working hours, the distance that you need to travel to your work. Then there's also lifestyle values. So those are things like family and friends are really important to you. So you're designing your working life around those sorts of values because they come first. Is this making sense? So what do we have in the chat box? We have someone here. Thank you very much for sharing. Honesty, authenticity, Tammy.
We like that, Will.
Diversity. Thank you so much, Halima, for sharing that. Anyone else want to share their values? So you've got a really strong sense of what your values are, and that's perfect. So, Halima, let me ask you, with these values, is this what you're looking for from an employer? Is this what they have to have? An authentic employer that's honest and that can demonstrate their inclusion and diversity. Tammy, can I ask you, what are your values? I'm curious.
Oh, I always find it really hard to narrow my values down to like 3, because I'll quite happily sail through a list of 40 of them, tick them all, and then have to narrow them down. So I'm not good at thinking on my feet with this, but I would definitely agree with Halima that honesty is really important to me. I also need an employer to communicate really well, so good communication, because I have autism, so good communication is really key to me for doing my best. And I think also a value of helping others, so doing something that betters people's lives. So I wouldn't necessarily want to work for and it's a perfectly good job, and if it's a thing you're interested in, it's fine. But for instance, I'd be a terrible bailiff. Also, I'm not very imposing, so I don't think anyone's going to be remotely worried if I knock on their door. So there are that thing of helping others is really important for me.
Okay, no wonder you're doing the job that you're doing, because you're doing a fabulous job of helping others, Tammy H.
Thank you.
I call mine the 4 C's. creativity. I have to be creative in my work. I've got to be given the freedom to use my fabulous ADHD creative skills in my coaching work. Connections. I really love building connections. I'm really curious. I love meeting lots of different people, diverse backgrounds, and I get an opportunity to meet all sorts of fabulous people, from all over the UK and indeed in other parts around the world. So that's really critical for me. Challenge. I need to be challenged in my work. I need variety. Variety is the spice of life. And I also, it's important for me to have a sense of community. So that's what sort of drew me to Evenbreak, because it's a social enterprise, and a lot of the profits that it makes is pumped back into helping. Its mission is to help people with disabilities into the world of work. And I find that really, really, really powerful, because I've had my own struggles finding work. Due to my ADHD and my dyslexia. And it's very, 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 very powerful. So I've got, I suppose, most of my values are intrinsically driven, a few extrinsics, but this is just, guys, to give you a sense of values and why it's really, really important to get this stage right. Because when you're then sifting through jobs or searching on company websites, you're automatically going to be thinking top of mind, do they share the same values as me? Is this going to work? It can just right there take out a lot of stress and overwhelm, right, Tammy?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good way of excluding jobs as well, but we'll come to that in a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to go to our next slide. And I know that Toby has added in a couple of really powerful links that talks to values. So please check that out, guys, if you get an opportunity. Okay, so, when we talk about values and we get real and we identify what our own values are, there's another step that we have to follow, right? We have to learn if the employer's core values matches yours. So how do you go about doing that? Do you spend time researching, going on to employer websites and finding out a little bit more about who this employer is? So here's just some top tips to help you identify if your values align to the employer's values. Check out their website, find out what their mission statement is. Some organizations will actually highlight and communicate what their values are. Take a look at their key milestones. So spend some time really getting to know that employer before you decide that you want to actually put that application in. Some will also share their corporate values. So it's really, really important to identify your values first, do your research, find out what the employer's values are, and see if they're aligned. And often when you put in your application, one of the most powerful things that you can do is to actually explain that it's their values that you were attracted to in the first instance. And you can name drop or highlight which of those values speaks to you specifically. Okay, let's go to the next slide.
Okay, so identifying disability-friendly employers. It seems like a big job, but there are some tips. So firstly, many of you might have already heard of the Disability Confidence Scheme, which is the government scheme to train employers in how best to make adjustments for disabled people. There are 3 levels to that scheme. So employers might be committed, which is level 1. That's the lowest level of requirement for that. The middle level, level 2, is employer. So those people will have to do a bit more and go a bit further in terms of making adjustments and understanding what might be needed for, say, a person with depression or anxiety, or a person who has a neurodiverse condition. And then at number 3, you've got the leader level. Those guys are held to a much higher standard. So they are reaccredited every 3 years, I think it is. And they actually have to provide evidence that they have made changes that have enabled disabled people to get into work. And you can actually find a list online of all of these employers. There's currently 20,501 signed up. That number obviously goes up and down a bit. You can download that from the .gov website. We will share these slides, and the slides do have the links in, so you will be able to access it from there. But the downloadable spreadsheet is from the .gov website, and you can order the spreadsheet by location. You can order it by what type of accreditation the employer has. You can also look at areas of work. So if you're interested in accounting, then you can sort the data on accounting. So you don't have to look through 20,000 jobs. You can sort through it. Other opportunities sometimes come up on there as well. So for instance, one of the things I found on there recently is the Disability Connect mentoring scheme, which is an opportunity for disabled people to apply to mentor organisations, and there is a cash amount that you get in return for doing that. So you get £25 a session over 6 months, and that can be a way to both change the game for disabled people and also to teach employers about adjustments and about what their disabled experience is like, and it's a way to earn money as well. So if it's also something that looks really good on your CV if you're interested in diversity and inclusion in areas like that. There's also the Business Disability Forum, which is a membership organisation. There are 400 members who collectively employ 20% of the UK workforce. So you've got big names on there. And again, the website is linked into the presentation, but there's an A to Z list of all of the partner organisations on their website. So if you wanted to have a look at who's on there, being part of the forum is a good indicator. So being a member of the forum indicates that they're actually willing to make change. We don't know on the surface of it whether they're just making the right noises. You'd still need to do some investigation into the organisation itself, but it's a great place to start. You can go to their website and see the sorts of things that they're advertising for currently, and get a sense of, do some research on the organisation, get a sense of what they're about, the sort of work that they do. And a lot of the time, the assumptions we make, even about big names that we know, don't incorporate all of the jobs that are available in an organisation. So for instance, the NHS, we think doctors, nurses, admin, receptionists, but actually there's something like 200 to 300 different job types within the NHS. So that's just an example of how big organisations can often have huge different types of job type in them, and it's worth having a bit of a research on that. Toby, next slide, please. So finding disability-friendly recruiters. Recruiters can be your friend. So you sort of have two main ways of recruitment. You have employers who do their own recruitment. They might have an HR team. They might deal with that themselves. And then you have recruiters. And recruiters can have great benefits, so they can help you, guide you through the process of recruitment. They can provide one-to-one advice and guidance on things like CVs and interviews. They often have a specialism. They usually have a specialist area. So even a big organisation like Page Group, they'll have specialists in certain areas. So again, accounting, administration, areas like that, who know the sorts of jobs that are happening, what salaries are like. They know what's on their books, and they often have a large network of clients. And some organisations only advertise via an agency. So you can go to the website and you can get a feel for the jobs that are on the website, but also think about recruiters and LinkedIn as well, because again, sometimes LinkedIn has advertisements that don't appear anywhere else. So recruiters can be very helpful. There is a list, the Recruitment Industry Disability Initiative, the RIDI 100 is a list of disability confident recruiters. I'm not sure that they mean disability confident necessarily in the same way that the government does. And what they mean is confident in recruiting disabled people. Because one of the things that we find often is that recruiters say, well, we don't have any disabled staff, and we don't want to make a mistake, so we won't recruit them. And actually that's the wrong way around, because if you recruit some disabled staff and listen to them and support them, you'll not only know how to recruit them and support them, you'll be able to do it again. It's like any other learning process. The RIDI 100, there's a list of the disability confident recruiters or the partners of the organisation on that website, which again you can use in the same way as the business forum, the Business Disability Forum website. So looking at the organisations that are part of it and doing a bit of research on that. But when it comes to recruiters, make a relationship with the recruiter and think about how much you trust them. You have to have a trusting relationship for it to work. So, you know, make the calls to them, respond to them, be honest about what you want and what you need, and they'll work with you. They're actually not against you in any way. They want to work with you. It's good for them to place somebody who can do the job in a job. So related to that, find the right recruiter. So it's kind of like finding, again, somebody you have a connection with. So if you have a chat with a recruiter and you think, actually, I'm not sure that you're going to be able to help me because of reasons, then find another one. There's lots of recruiters out there. And also use their expertise and resources. So they will have access to tons of stuff that you might not have seen. And again, they'll have seen jobs come in all the time that might be specific to their particular organisation. Toby, next slide, please.
Just want to add to that too, having been an ex-recruiter myself, Tammy, you're absolutely spot on about building that relationship with the recruiter. I mean, recruiters niche down now as well. There are generous recruiters and there are niche recruiters. And some recruiters will be better when it comes to understanding your need for accommodations and being able to share that with the employer. But do see them as your best friend if you can. They will have labour market information, right, Tammy? They will even give you feedback on your CV. They'll even give you suggestions on how to improve in your interview, because they know that employer. They've placed candidates in those opportunities in the past, so they know that employer intimately inside out. So don't be shy and ask the questions, right?
Yeah, and remember, it's in their interests to place the right candidate. So they will want to work with you to see if you are the right candidate for that job, or maybe if there's another job that you're the right candidate for, to point that one out to you.
Now, I just wanted to, before we go on to this slide, draw everyone's attention that we did do a webinar a few weeks ago, right, Tammy, with a recruiter, a fabulous lady called Amanda, who shared her insights and tips on, you know, the interview itself, and it all has come from a recruiter's perspective. So if you get a chance, go to the Hive and check that out. There's some great tips and insights from a recruiter's perspective. Sorry, Tammy, for interrupting.
No, not at all. That's fine. So again, sort of looking into researching disability-friendly employers. So actively seek out those companies. We've talked about it before, but actively seek out those companies who are committed to equality, diversity and inclusion. If they don't mention it somewhere on their website, why? It's such an important topic. 20% of the adult population is disabled. Why is it not being covered on their website? So if they don't mention it, or they only talk about diversity and inclusion in narrow terms, so they might talk mostly about gender or ethnicity, which get more coverage, but of course it's much broader than that. There's all sorts of things included in equality, diversity and inclusion, age, disability, all sorts of things. So see what they're saying about that, and see how they talk on social media as well. What do they talk about it on social media? Do they ever say things like oh, our staff disability team met and discussed this new initiative? What do they say about it? What do they advertise themselves as being? So in relation to that, read up on their policies and procedures. So coming back to their values, their mission statements, the kind of work that they do. So do they have an interest in improving the lives of people? Are they a social interest company? What sort of work is it that they're involved in? And gain insight on how to receive support. So when it comes to things like saying, okay, I'm going to need adjustments to do this job, how do they deal with that? You know, do they have a process for dealing with that? Or do they kind of say, what do you mean adjustments? We don't know what they are, which is obviously problematic for many disabled people, not all, but many. Establish, if you can, a personal contact at the company. And that's really good from the point of view of, firstly, being memorable. So you make contact with someone, you become a real face, a real voice, ideally, instead of just a name on an application. But also, if you make a good contact, you might be able to ask them what it's like to work there. So in real terms, what's it like on a daily basis? You know, what is the organisation? How is it structured? What does what they say match what they do from an employee perspective? Glassdoor is also an interesting place to look at that stuff, but I know we'll cover that in a little bit as well. Again, bringing back the Business Disability Forum. So is the organisation a member of that group? Is there an internal disability network or community? And if not, is there the opportunity to make one? Because that could also be a selling point for you, depending on the tenor of the organisation. And do they promote or foster further awareness? Are they doing anything to change the status quo? Remember, 20% of adults in the UK are disabled. Let's make it easier for those people to get into work, because I think we probably all know that there's a gap between people who are disabled and people who are not disabled in the workplace. Do their job advertisements mention the Disability Confidence Scheme, or do they say we're happy to make adjustments for anyone? If they don't, find out first, even have that conversation with them. You don't have to, you can apply and hope for the best. But if you do, think about whether, if you were to be offered a job from that organisation or a different one, which one would you accept? So think about it in those terms. Toby, next slide, please.
Okay, so this slide says employee experiences and stories. Tammy and I focused a little bit earlier about the employer, getting to know the employer, finding out the employer's story by checking their website, their values, their mission statement, their diversity and inclusion policies, and also their social media. But what about reaching out to employees? Perhaps as someone you know at an organisation that you're interested in. Would it be of value to reach out, connect, and listen to their story? Now, often you'll find on employers' websites, they will share some employee stories. So you can go on their website and check out what they have to say. But you can also review employer websites, as we mentioned earlier, right? It's really important. Find blog sites or forums that you can join. You can have conversations and again, listen to other stories. What about reaching out to the recruitment team or an inclusion officer within that organisation? If you've got specific questions that you want answered, there's no harm in reaching out and getting that information. Now, I know Tammy mentioned earlier about Glassdoor. Tammy, share with us a little bit about what Glassdoor is and how it can help. Why would we use Glassdoor?
Glassdoor is a website where people who are employed at organisations can share their experience of being employed there anonymously. Employers can't remove those reviews, and every employer who is registered on Glassdoor has a score out of 5. So they have a maximum of 5 stars. So you can kind of get a sense for organisational culture by having a look at Glassdoor and seeing what people say about it. So do they have faith in the management? Do they have anything to share about, for instance, if they've had really bad experiences as a disabled candidate, then they might actually share those on there. It's not disability focused, but they might share them. It's worth looking at. Alternatively, if they've got a really, really good policy around disability and they're really inclusive, then that might also appear in those reviews. Other things that sometimes turn up on there are interview questions. So people will post what interview questions they had and what was the interview like, and tips on how to prep. So that can be very useful too.
Fishbowl, that's an interesting one. I think you found that one out just recently, Tammy.
Yes, I've only discovered Fishbowl recently. I haven't had a chance to test it yet, but Fishbowl is a new app by Glassdoor that puts you in contact anonymously with people directly at organisations. So you can have anonymous conversations about what it's like to work there. There's no risk in it for them, and you get to learn some insights about what the organisation might be like. My only cautionary note is that because it's completely anonymous and because it's not posted publicly, people with an axe to grind may not be entirely honest about their experience. But I don't know that that's happening. It's just a thing to be cautious about. But as I say, I haven't tested it yet, but it looks really interesting.
Yeah,
Ability to have chats with people.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I've used it sometimes if I want to do a little bit of research to find out types of interview questions or the types of interviews that employers conduct, because sometimes people will also share that sort of information. So it can be a very, very useful tool. It gives you that little bit of an edge and that extra insight. Right, Tammy?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, let's go to the next slide. How's everyone going? Is this giving you the information that you need? What specifically are you finding of value? Please feel free to put it into the chat box.
And also let us know if there's something you want covered that we haven't covered. So, at any point, if you've got questions, just pop them in the chat box and we'll get to them as soon as we can. So disability friendly job boards. There are actually some job boards you might know because you're already here. There are some job boards that are disability friendly. So for instance, you have Evenbreak. We'll talk about Evenbreak a little bit more, but there are others as well. So there's disabilityjobsite.co.uk. Those jobs are apparently advertised by organisations who are open-minded about disability and who want to recruit disabled people. I don't know any more than that. I don't know about the organisation behind it. There's also includability.co.uk. That's also open employers, so people who want to have the conversations about disability and how to adjust and to actually really employ disabled people. So the websites I mentioned were disabilityjobsite.co.uk and includability.co.uk, and later on I'll pop them in the chat box. But also you've got Evenbreak. So Evenbreak is a AAA rated, accessible recruitment job board specifically tailored for disabled candidates. So we have relationships with employers. We don't just scrape the results from other websites. We actually have relationships with employers. We give training to many of the employers on how best to employ and support disabled people in the workplace. We have hundreds of disability inclusive jobs. Some of the things that confuse people sometimes about the way they're advertised is that it might say part-time or full-time, flexible, home working or office, and it doesn't seem very definite. And actually one of the reasons for that is because they're willing to be open to negotiation about where a person works, or whether it's full-time or part-time, because not all disabled people can work full-time. Many people who are not disabled can also not work full-time, but they're open to having those conversations. So one of the reasons there aren't always that many absolutes where that's concerned is because they want you to have a chat with them about it. You can also get inclusive career support and resources from the coaches on Evenbreak. You also have resources in the form of interview questions, for instance, CV writing tips. There's lots of resources on the Hive, so do pop over there and have a look when you get the chance. Evenbreak, sign up for the job profiles alerts for specific roles. We are also trialing a new thing where actually when you sign up, you will get job roles sent to you in a newsletter that are highlighted. But also if you sign up for normal job alerts, you'll be notified whenever something comes up that meets your criteria. So whatever you program in and say, I want to have jobs on, Rosa, help me out. Any job you like. Want to know about career coaching? There you go. We do occasionally have jobs for that. So you might put that in as your search term. You can sign up also for the fortnightly newsletter, which is the one I mentioned before. We're always trying to improve the service. So as I say, that new thing where we send targeted star quality jobs, if you like, to you. You can follow us on eTalentFirst at Twitter. We do, again, highlight jobs there and use the Career Hive resources, as mentioned. Toby, next slide, please.
Okay, Tammy, thank you very much for that. That was a great insight with regards to disability-specific job sites. So, okay, this slide says ways to choose job boards. So first of all, you do need to be a little strategic. There's lots and lots of different job boards out there, right? So we know that there are generalist job boards and there are even niche job boards. There are freelance job sites. Honestly, there are so many. All you've got to do is go to your Google search and start typing. But we think that the approach that you take when choosing your job sites or job boards is really, really critical, right, Tammy?
Yes.
So first of all, you want to identify the right job board for you. And of course, this is going to be based on the type of role that you're looking for. Yes, you can go and maybe one of your strategies is to use a generalist job site, but then you also might want to narrow it right down and seek out a few niche job sites because some of those jobs may not be advertised on those generalist sites. So you might want to have a combination in terms of the strategy that you use. Maybe perhaps you're also open to freelancing. There's lots of new innovative sites out there that are offering opportunities to people who are keen to do some freelancing. They're popping up all the time. And it's an alternative way to working as well. So remember what we said about your values? It comes back down to what it is you're looking for. So maybe having that flexibility and that freedom appeals to you. Maybe you want to think about freelancing. Okay, so with job boards, they have different types of filtering and job search engines. So you want to make sure that you're maximizing and using the filter tabs across your job sites. So you want to narrow down your focus and your efforts. So I'll give you an example. On LinkedIn, LinkedIn is actually a job search site as well. And you can filter and narrow right down to remote working. Maybe you want hybrid working. Perhaps it's part and flexible working. So you want to tick those boxes and make sure that the filtering that you're doing really meets your needs when you're doing that job search. Because what that means is that the search results that are returned will be specific to your needs and wants, including your values, potentially. So you can also focus on specific sectors. There are often specific sector sites. Now, Tammy and I are currently at the moment drafting up a big directory of job search sites. We're loving it. We just can't stop. At some point, we're going to have to stop, Tammy. I think that we're going to do the world's biggest job search directory here.
Yeah, well, you know what? There wouldn't be any harm in that. We just had to keep updating it.
But that will be available on the Hive, and we highly recommend that you check it out. Now, it won't have every single specific sector site or niche site, but it's certainly a good starting point. So watch for that. That's going to come out in the next week. Here's a friendly tip. Job alerts. Are you setting up job alerts? When you have decided and narrowed down on which job sites you want to use, the power of job alerts is incredible, because rather than you having to go on that job site and constantly doing searches every 2 or 3 days, the jobs will come to you. Imagine, guys. So you are reducing your overwhelm and your anxiety by setting up those job alerts. As soon as that job is posted by that employer, it will ping across to your personalized email address. No more constant checking every 2 and 3 days. You simply go to your personalized inbox, and there you will find the job alerts. But this is why it's really, really important to make sure your filtering terms and your searching absolutely meets your needs. You can be a little bit flexible. Often employers will post jobs that are very similar but are different titles. So you want to be mindful. Maybe if you can, and there's an option to set up multiple job alerts, why not do it? Because you are giving yourself the best opportunities. Here's some generous job sites, and there's lots more. Total Jobs, Indeed, CV Library, Reed. Don't forget that there is LinkedIn, there is Monster, and there are lots and lots and lots of niche job sites, which we can't go into today. But as I mentioned, if you go to the Hive, you will find our directory, which will be coming within the next week. Promise. Next slide. Networking. Tammy, the power of networking. How important is networking?
It's very important. And I have to say, not everybody is a natural at it. Sometimes you have to work at it. So for instance, I have autism. Talking to people I don't know is actually quite stress inducing. But actually that networking can be the difference between finding a vacancy and not finding a vacancy. And also in some cases, getting a reference that will help you get that job.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Tammy. There's 2 types of networking. There is your immediate network, right? So reaching out to your localized network. And what I mean by that is your family, your friends, your work colleagues. You would be surprised what what networks they have and what networks those networks have. If you can just imagine a big spider's web of network, and reaching out to family, friends, or work colleagues can make a difference. I certainly know of some candidates that have done that and have managed to secure their opportunities. So the power in your local network is not something to be dismissed. But we all know the power of social media. Okay, it's just exploded sort of over the last decade, right? We're talking about LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. I'm probably missing a couple of other social media sites. If I am, can you please pop them in the chat box? Okay, so let me share an interesting fact with you. LinkedIn. Did you know there are 740 million members on LinkedIn? 740 million. There are 55 million companies. Multiple countries, so if you can imagine every country that there is around the globe. Here's an interesting fact. 92% of recruiters use social media to find you. They're all over social media. This is their new way of searching, finding candidates. It used to be that, marketing agencies and marketing divisions within companies were using social media to market to potential buyers. It's exactly what the recruiters and the employers are now doing. Because you're on social media, or a lot of you may be, then they're also on social media and they're searching for you. So 92% of recruiters use social media to find you. And of that 92%, 87% use LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is like the professional Facebook, okay? You can use LinkedIn to do networking. LinkedIn allows you to connect to one or to many. Here's just a couple of tips. When you're using, or you're thinking of using LinkedIn, obviously you've got to set up that profile. We do have a separate webinar and some articles on how to set up a personal brand on LinkedIn. So please feel free to check that out. It is on the Hive. But some basic tips on connecting via LinkedIn. Connect with people you know as a starting point. There is an opportunity for you to download all of your telephone contacts into your LinkedIn. Connect with contacts that you have lost touch with or that you want to reconnect with. Perhaps it is university connections or friends that you once got in touch with. Perhaps it's past work colleagues. So there is an affinity there, and it's an easy way to start to build and reach out and seek for connections. Do searches. LinkedIn is a big search engine, so you can search for people, you can search for companies. Perhaps you are a graphic designer and you want to check out other graphic designers. Or perhaps you're looking for a graphic designer who has a disability and you want to reach out and find out how they build their networks or how they got their opportunities. You can use a search engine to do that and narrow down. Don't forget, you can attend LinkedIn events. There's lots of opportunities to attend some incredible events on LinkedIn, and some of these are absolutely free. Perhaps there are particular industry sectors that you're interested in or organizations. Why don't you follow them? Start building your networks in a very, very simple step-by-step way. So that's LinkedIn. But we've also got Facebook. Tell me, I'm interested in finding out, so put it into the chat. Are you using Facebook to search for jobs? Because I'll tell you what, employers are using Facebook to find you and to advertise their opportunities. Has anyone thought about using Facebook? I would be really keen to hear if you are. So feel free to put it into chat, or put into chat, what your experiences on LinkedIn are. But did you know that Facebook has a job at Facebook feature? So you can actually apply for Facebook jobs with a click of one button. It is that simple. This is the power of social media, right? It can be very quick, instant, so you can click with one button. You're not having to do a copious amount of application filling, etc. and filling in that application form. But you do need to help yourself in that application process by filling in the work sections of your profile on Facebook as much as possible. What about Twitter? Anybody thought of using Twitter? I can see here someone has said Snapchat, Instagram, etc. It's global. I'd be really keen to find out how you use Snapchat and Instagram to find or search for opportunities, or how to build your networks. Are you reaching out and finding people who are in the same sort of tribes or community groups as you are? Please share a little bit more with us. Okay, so what about Twitter? Twitter is actually a much more casual and relaxed approach to job search. So, for example, you can use Twitter to discuss your interests through likes, through retweets, and through sharing. Don't forget that little post box of 280 magical characters. That is more than enough for you to do your elevator pitch. Anybody who knows me, you know I love talking about those elevator pitches. I try to bring them up in whatever webinars I can, but the power of your elevator pitch is really you pitching your skills, your talents, and how you can be of value to an organization. So you can use this to introduce yourself, and you can state the sort of roles or opportunities that you're interested in. Why not tag your location? Let recruiters and employers know where you're actually located. And if you want to, you can also tag a website. Maybe it's your portfolio website if you're an architect or a graphic designer. Maybe it's also your LinkedIn profile. So you can use Twitter as another way to connect others to your LinkedIn profile. So you can also engage with others by following them, like you can do on LinkedIn. And you can join in conversations. So using social media can be a helpful way to network and also to job search. So let me know your thoughts on that. Please feel free to add that into this chat box. Okay, we have somebody else saying Behance. Behance. What is Behance? Can you share that with us, Andre? Fill us in. I think that's probably something to do with the creative sector, right? Or maybe even graphic design. But if you could share with us a little bit about what that site is, that would be really helpful for everyone. So why don't we go to the next slide?
Okay, we are starting to overrun, so I'm going to just skim through this. And if you need help with speculative applications, come and see a coach. So there are jobs that are not yet advertised because maybe the organisation hasn't got around to finalising what's going to be in that job yet. They might have a particular project they want to do some work on or with, but they might not have a fully fledged idea of exactly what that's going to be yet. And that's where speculative applications can be really useful. So speculative applications mean applying for jobs that technically don't exist publicly yet, for various reasons. And actually a lot of applying for speculative roles, or applying speculatively or on spec, is hoping for the best, but doing a lot of prep. And there's all the amount of prep you would do for a job that actually existed. But you would research and create a short list of employers, so people you wanted to target with your skills and experience and whose values you share. You need to, again, do that research into workplace culture, the values, diversity and inclusion, and prepare as though you're applying for an actual job. So the minute you pick up the phone to talk to somebody, or the minute you send an email, best professional voice, you're applying for a job. It's your first contact with that organisation, even if nothing comes of it. Establish a personal contact. So even before you send anything through, have a look on LinkedIn so you see who the person is that's responsible for recruitment in a particular team area, or have a look at their website and see what teams do what, or even contact them via a general contact number or email address and ask who the best person to talk to is about recruitment. Be focused and open-minded. Bear in mind that it might not pay off, but even if your speculative application doesn't pay off straight away, you'll be memorable. And you'll be memorable, hopefully, for the good reasons, which are you will have done your research, you'll show that you've got some skills that might be interesting, you'll ping somebody's radar. So somebody will go, oh yes, we did have that person who applied and asked if we had a role in X. And we didn't at the time, but now actually we do. Craft your cover letter and CV exactly the same way as you would for a job you know exists, and make that step of following up your application. So once they've had it for a week or so, get back in contact with them again, just find out if anyone's read it yet. Be personable. Again, every time you talk to an employer, you're potentially being interviewed.
Tammy, this is really excellent. I mean, there is a power in the speculative application, and yes, you are taking a risk. But we did talk earlier about, taking a risk or two. If there are organisations that you're absolutely passionate about, and you know your values align with theirs, and you really want to work there, there's nothing to stop you putting together that application. It's really interesting. Just because before the session, Andre, if you're still there, we actually talked about speculative applications. And we worked together to sort of focus down and find those organizations that would be, excuse me, I'm losing my voice, neurodiverse friendly, because that's what was important. So, don't rule out speculative applications. They can be really, really, really important. If you're wanting some support on how to put that list together and how to put that application out there, once you've got your core CV and a really solid cover letter, it can go out to multiple speculative employers, right, Tammy? Because you're having to do your cover letter and your CV anyway. There's just a slight little bit of tweaking for your speculative approach. So if anyone's interested in this, again, please reach out, because Caroline, Tammy and I are more than happy to help you put a powerful speculative application together.
Toby, next slide, please.
Oh, Tammy, how do I stop job hunting overwhelm? Where do we start? Well, I hope we've attempted to today by giving some strategies. But it's lovely that we have people coming in here today, because you all know that you're not alone. We've all been through this, right, Tommy?
Oh, yes. Yeah, and don't think that career coaches are any different. We've all done it as well. We've all gone, I need a new job because of reasons. Where do I start? This is big. So, yeah, we might have jobs now, but at some point we were job seekers too.
Absolutely. So know that you're not alone in this journey, because sometimes it can feel like you're working in this big silo. Maybe you're getting rejected or you're not getting shortlisted. It is a competitive market out there. In order to give you that competitive edge, reach out to the career coaches at Evenbreak, and we will help you reduce that overwhelm and stress and help you get clear on that job search strategy. Reaching out to a careers coach, well, that's what we've just said. Maintain your perspective. This is a really big one. It's often really important to, maintain your perspective. I often deal with candidates who can get quite down naturally because they've been rejected, or they haven't even heard back when they've put in an application. And even that job search, and there's so many jobs to find, etc. How do you go about it? So a step-by-step approach. Reaching out to your networks that we talked about earlier. Maybe there are others in the same situation and they're looking for similar opportunities. Don't feel like you're in that silo where you're working alone. Again, reach out to people and have conversations, because this can be really, really, really helpful to shift that perspective. Stay positive, easier said than done, right? I've been there. I know, Tommy, you've probably been there. How do we stay positive? Anybody in the chat box? When you've been down in the dumps in your job search and you feel like giving up, what was the little thing that kept you going? Did you set yourself rewards? Did you do some reflection? Again, did you reach out to experts or professionals or friends and have that conversation? We know it's difficult to stay positive when you say stay positive, but the power of your networks can be really, really helpful in these sorts of situations. Always celebrate the small wins. A win is a win is a win, right, Tommy?
Yeah, and a small win might be you've just waded through a huge application form and submitted it on time. That's a win. Even if you didn't get the job, that's a win. Celebrate that.
Absolutely. Make a plan and prioritize. If you need support with planning and organizing, and you want to get your job search more aligned to your values, and you want to reduce that stress, we're happy to give you some tips and some ideas on how you can plan and prioritize. Use us as your planner and your prioritizer. You can have sessions with us where we will help you each step of the way, and it will take out that lonely feeling that you might have when you're searching for jobs. Don't take rejection personally. Well, coming from an ADHDer, right? This is easier said than done. We can all be very, very sensitive when we receive what we perceive to be rejection. But use it as a stepping stone, as a learning. Try and get feedback if you can, if you've been rejected. Tammy, anything you want to add to the don't take rejection personally?
Remember that there's a lot going on. Sometimes there's things that you can change and sometimes there aren't. Sometimes there are, perhaps the organization has someone in mind for that role. Perhaps you don't have enough experience to do it. Maybe you were the fourth person to be interviewed that day and actually they fell in love with person two, which is something that happens. So it's looking at the context, the big picture, and knowing that opportunity might not pan out. There will be another one. If you think about it in terms of what inevitability is like, if you keep trying and keep improving every time and keep targeting appropriately, you will eventually be successful. So just keeping your eye on the ball and not being distracted by the rejection, because rejection hurts. But make contact with people who can support you with the rejection. So if you've got loving family members or friends, chat it through with them, and remember that next time is a new opportunity. The
Absolutely.
Next employer you're applying to doesn't know anything about your previous rejection.
Absolutely. Great points, Tammy. Quality versus quantity. Please don't scattergun. Honestly, Tammy and I have heard so many scary stories of candidates that have done the scattergun and they are burnt out, they're overwhelmed, and they just want to give up because they have applied to multiple jobs that might not even be suitable, that may not even be aligned. Do your homework. A lot of this is about your prep and the pre-job searching. Get your values right. Know if you want, what sort of pay packet you want, what accommodations you might need. All of this will actually help you narrow down when you're searching, because these are the things that are going to be top of mind. And so it's really, really important to understand and know your values and have those boundaries, that you know that you're looking for a job with a certain salary band that gives you flexible working, with an employer who's got a great reputation for diversity and inclusion. The job spec is creative enough and gives you the variety, and also perhaps the opportunity to challenge yourself. These are the sorts of things that you're going to want to be looking for when you're searching for your jobs. Know when to take a break. Well, I need to give myself this advice, Tammy. But yes, job search you're in it for the long term, potentially. So it's really, really important that you take those breaks. It's okay to step away for a while. Less is more, and take more breaks. Tammy, anything else you want to add to that?
Only to say that Gopal had asked, what is a scattergun? So scattergunning is when you become more desperate. So the more desperate you become, the less likely you are to keep to that narrow view of what you want. You're more likely to go, do you know what, I'll just apply, I'll just do anything if somebody will employ me. And actually that means more rejection, usually more rejection, less likelihood of success. Don't be tempted to spread out too much. So you might need to review what your targets are for the job, your values and all of those things, if you continue to not be successful. But at the same time, just applying to everything isn't likely to work either.
Great. I'm conscious of time. We've definitely gone over. Is everyone okay if we keep going? We've just got 1 or 2 slides left. And I think everyone's been asking questions as we've been going along anyway. So let's hit to the next slide, Toby. Okay, employability and support programs. What are they and how might they help you? Employability and support programs are really opportunities for you to be supported in a program, which can be anywhere up to 12 months. And then there will be an employment opportunity at the end of that training course or program. Right, Tammy?
Yes.
So here's just some examples and there are lots more. Show a trust, scope, Reemploy. Now, Reemploy offers a number of programs for students and graduates with disability. There's Disability Action Northern Ireland, and it is an employment and training service that offers information and support for people with disabilities to help them find and stay in work, or even vocational training. They also provide disability and diversity awareness training, but that's to employers. So these are just some examples of employability and support programs that could be beneficial to you. So you want to think, do I need that extra support and help into employment? And if so, you can go onto our Hive, because we do have a list of local service providers, right, Tammy, as well as national service providers that can help you if you've decided and you want to opt into this sort of support program. Okay, shall we go to the next slide? So, Tammy.
Yes, so just a little reminder that we're here with the Evenbreak Career Hive, 24/7 access to hundreds of career planning resources. So I would recommend you go over and have a little bit of a search around and see what we've got for you. Targeted support services, as Rosa said, in your local area, who provide advice that is helpful to disabled people. So you are not just going to get a door shut in your face. We do meet the employer events, so we regularly have those. I think they're about every 2 weeks, and some of those recently we've got, I think, RS components we've had recently. Facebook we had a little while ago. Facebook's one of our employers, and there are opportunities for you to come along and see about, to ask employers about making adjustments. You know, how do they approach it? What do they do? What's it like working there? All of those sorts of things that you might want to do as part of your research into an organisation. You can also ask for help from us. It doesn't cost you anything at any point. We don't charge you for the service. So to candidates, that is always free. There's a list of webinars and events on the Evenbreak website. The link is embedded in the PowerPoint, so you'll have that. But on that note, next slide, Toby. We've got some upcoming webinars. So the ones that are next, we've got Meet the Employer with RS Components. Okay, so that's the one on 28th of October at 11. We've got another one in this series of webinars, so Writing a Powerful Job Application with a Disability, on the 3rd of November at 12 o'clock. We've got another Meet the Employer with the OSTC group on the 11th of November at 2 o'clock. And Using Positive Psychology to Boost Your Career Growth on the 17th of November at 12 o'clock. So we have a webinar roughly once a week.
Fantastic. If any of those don't appeal and you want to check out our others, we've got lots. But as I had forgotten to mention earlier about the recording, a lot we have already delivered some webinars, so they're already recorded. So please spend some time checking out the webinars that you feel are going to give you the biggest uplift and benefit. They're fully recorded. If anybody wants any of the PowerPoints, please let us know. We're happy to send them. If you want the PowerPoints from today, I know that Toby's going to send them out. Do we have any questions, or have we answered everyone's questions? I don't see any questions in the Q&A box. Are we all done? No questions? No questions for Tammy. Okay, well, I just want to thank you all very much for coming along today. Thanks for hanging out with us, even though we did go over slightly, but we hope you found this session beneficial. Tammy, as ever, thank you so much for your wonderful wisdom and your expertise. Toby, I know you're sitting in the background helping us move the slides along. We really appreciate your support. And again, I just want to thank Judith and Karen for your help with the webinar today. Okay, guys, enjoy your lunch, and we hope to see you sometime soon. Take care and bye for now.
Thanks for coming.
Bye.